Hello, everyone. Today, we're diving into another tragic crime, one that could have been avoided. Unfortunately, the victim, in this case, also played a role in the unfolding of this tragedy. This is the story of Emma Jane Walker, a beautiful young girl born on March 20th, 2000, in Knoxville, Tennessee. She grew up in a quiet, rural town just outside of Knoxville, a small religious community where life was simple. Her parents, Mark and Jill Walker, along with her brother Evan, were her close-knit family. Emma was known for being incredibly kind and down-to-earth. She had a warm personality that made people instantly like her. Even those who only knew her as the pretty cheerleader were quickly charmed by her kindness once they met her. Everyone who knew her had nothing but good things to say about her. Emma had many friends and got along with almost everyone she met. Emma had a big dream of becoming a nurse, specifically a neonatal nurse, working with premature babies in intensive care. This aspiration spoke volumes about her character. She had a heart full of compassion. Many people who choose nursing as a profession are incredibly caring, and Emma was no exception. Her desire to help others was evident through the volunteer work she did, especially at a local animal shelter. Besides her dedication to helping others, Emma was also passionate about competitive dance and cheerleading. In 2014, Emma entered Central High School as a freshman and immediately tried out for the cheerleading team. She was the only freshman to make the team, a testament to her talent and determination. Emma was successful not just in cheerleading but in all aspects of high school life. She had a wide circle of friends and was an honor student. During her freshman year, Emma met a boy named Riley Gall. Riley was 2 years older and a star wide receiver on the football team. He was active in his church and known for being a good student, a typical boy next door. His friends described him as a bit of a nerd growing up, obsessed with Star Wars, but as he entered high school, he became deeply involved in football. Emma developed a significant crush on Riley, but at the time, Riley was dating someone else. However, it wasn't long before Riley ended that relationship and started dating Emma. They clicked instantly, forming what seemed like a picture-perfect high school romance. He was the football star, and she was the cheerleader. But there was something strange early on in their relationship. Even though Riley had broken up with his ex-girlfriend, he promised her that he would still take her to prom. Despite already dating Emma, Riley took his ex to prom during his junior year and only took Emma in his senior year. This behavior worried Emma's parents. They felt he wasn't prioritizing her and were concerned about Emma getting hurt. They voiced their concerns, but Emma, who was strong-willed and independent, dismissed them. She liked to make her own decisions, even if it caused tension within the family. As time went on, the seemingly perfect couple started experiencing problems. Their relationship became tumultuous, with frequent breakups and makeups. Emma's friends began to notice troubling signs. Riley never seemed interested in getting to know her friends or hanging out with them, which struck them as odd. He also didn't want her spending time with his friends. Riley's behavior grew more controlling. He became possessive, even getting upset if Emma wore certain clothes. He would show up at her workplace and hang around for hours until she finished her shift. When she went out with friends, Riley would bombard her with calls and texts, demanding to know where she was and what she was doing. This obsessive behavior was far from healthy, especially for a high school relationship. Eventually, Riley started sending aggressive messages to Emma on Snapchat. In one message, he wrote, "You're dead to me. I'll check the obituary." He also began threatening to kill himself if she didn't get back together with him. Their relationship turned into a vicious cycle of fighting, breaking up, and then reconciling, only to start the cycle all over again. Emma's parents were increasingly worried and wanted to end the relationship for good, especially given how volatile it had become. They decided to ban Riley from their house and took away Emma's phone to limit their communication. However, Riley found a way around this by giving Emma an iPod Touch, allowing them to continue texting secretly. After dating on and off for 2 years, Riley Gall graduated from high school and enrolled at Maryville College, which was about half an hour away from where Emma lived. Despite the distance, Emma and Riley decided to continue their relationship, even though it posed challenges. However, Emma's parents were determined to put an end to the toxic relationship. They banned her from talking to Riley entirely, but Emma and Riley found ways to stay in touch secretly. To further distance Emma from Riley, her parents restricted her from leaving the house except for school and cheerleading practice. This strategy seemed to work for a while, as Emma gradually started acting more like her old self, appearing happier and more at ease. But just as things were improving, they took a sudden turn for the worse. Right before Thanksgiving break in 2016, Emma saw Snapchat posts of Riley with other girls on campus. These images deeply upset her, leading Emma to break up with Riley for good. She realized she deserved better, especially since Riley wasn't taking their relationship seriously. The decision to end things brought relief to Emma's parents, who hoped that this time, the breakup would stick and they would get their old Emma back. However, Riley did not handle the breakup well at all. In a state of despair, he attempted suicide by consuming a large amount of alcohol and Vicodin pills. Fortunately, he survived, but it was clear that he was struggling to cope, leaving his friends and family concerned for his well-being. On the night of Friday, November 18th, Emma attended an after-party following her high school's big football game victory. While at the party, she suddenly started receiving disturbing text messages around 11:30 p.m. The texts were threatening, claiming that someone she loved was in danger and instructing her to come outside if she didn't want to see them get hurt. Although worried, Emma initially thought it might be a prank by Riley's friends. The situation escalated when she received another text saying the person was in a ditch near the house where the party was being held. Alarmed, Emma and a friend decided to check it out. When they went outside, they found Riley lying face down near the bushes at the end of the driveway. Riley appeared dazed and confused, claiming he had been kidnapped and had no memory of how he got there. He acted as if he had been hit or knocked out, holding his head in pain. Riley called a friend to pick him up, insisting that someone had abducted him and dropped him off at the party, though even his friend found the story hard to believe. Emma, on the other hand, felt that something was off about the whole situation and wished Riley would just leave her alone so she could move on with her life. The following day, around 10:15 a.m., Emma was home alone when someone started banging on her front door. This scared her so much that she texted Riley, telling him she hated him but needed his help. Riley drove over to her house, but when Emma didn't meet her mom as planned, her mother returned home and found Emma and Riley talking in the driveway. Emma's mom told Riley to leave, which he did. On Sunday, Emma was still shaken by the strange events, the banging on her door and the mysterious texts about Riley being kidnapped. Everything felt overwhelming. Despite this, she seemed to be calming down as the day went on. After work, her parents followed her to ensure her safety, clearly worried about her well-being. That night, Emma and her dad went out for ice cream, and her dad noticed that Emma was beginning to act more like herself, seemingly recovering from the weekend's events. That night, everything seemed normal as the family got ready for bed. Emma's dad said goodnight as usual, and Emma went to sleep. But in the middle of the night, her dad was startled awake by a loud banging noise. It sounded like someone had slammed a door inside the house. He heard the noise again, so he rushed to check on Emma and her brother. When he opened Emma's bedroom door, she appeared to be peacefully asleep in her bed. Convinced that he might have been imagining things, Emma's dad returned to bed, assuming everything was fine. The next morning, around 6 a.m., Emma's mom began her usual morning routine and went to wake her up. Typically, Emma was easy to rouse, known for being a morning person with a cheery disposition. However, this time was different. When her mom tried to wake her, there was no response. She called her name several times, gently bumped her legs, but Emma didn't move. Realizing something was terribly wrong, she checked Emma's face and quickly realized she didn't have a pulse. In a panic, she called 911. Paramedics arrived swiftly and initially suspected it might be a case of suicide, overdose, or some other unknown cause that led to Emma's condition. As news spread about her absence from school, rumors began circulating that she might have overdosed or taken her own life. The rumor mill was buzzing, and Riley, her recent ex-boyfriend, started posting about Emma on social media. Emma was well-loved and widely known, so her sudden passing shocked the community. A candlelight vigil was organized in her honor, and the public mourned her loss deeply. People were desperate to understand what had happened to such a young, vibrant girl. When detectives arrived at the scene, they discovered something unsettling. A small hole in the wall of Emma's bedroom, barely as wide as a pen. Upon further investigation, they found 2 bullets lodged in the corner where her bed was situated. It was clear to them that whoever fired the shots knew exactly where Emma's bed was located. The detectives began questioning Emma's friends and peers to find out if anyone had a motive to harm her. One name kept surfacing: Riley. The detectives visited Riley's dorm to speak with him. At this point, there wasn't much to suggest he was a prime suspect, and his friends were more concerned about his well-being since he had recently attempted suicide. They feared the impact of Emma's death might push him over the edge. One of Riley's friends shared a disturbing piece of information with the detectives. Riley had mentioned to his friend Alex that he had stolen his grandfather's gun, supposedly for protection after claiming he had been kidnapped. His friends were alarmed, given Riley's recent suicidal behavior, but he reassured them the gun was solely for self-defense. By Monday morning, Riley had become a person of interest in Emma's death. The detectives questioned him about his whereabouts on the night Emma was shot. Riley claimed he was at his friend Noah's house, and when asked if he had stayed the night, he responded vaguely, saying he was pretty sure he did. The detectives found it odd that Riley couldn't clearly remember such a recent event, especially given its significance. Another detail that stood out was Riley's refusal to mention Emma by name during the 2-hour interview. He repeatedly referred to her as the girl, which struck the detectives as strange and detached. Riley explained that over the weekend, he had tried to contact Emma, but she didn't respond and eventually blocked him. He said that she had only agreed to see him if he helped her with a paper. Riley further claimed that after being blocked, he was so upset that he left his dorm and drove to his grandparents' house around 12:30 a.m., where he stayed for about 45 minutes before returning to his dorm. He described having an emotional breakdown, spending hours in his car crying and looking at photos of them together. The detectives then questioned Riley about his grandparents' guns, asking where they were stored and if he had ever taken one. Riley denied having a gun or taking one from his grandparents. However, the detectives had already spoken to his friends, who confirmed that Riley had shown them the handgun at school. When confronted with this information, Riley continued to deny any knowledge of the gun. He seemed bewildered by the accusation, repeatedly stating he didn't know why his friends would say such a thing. The detectives pressed him further, asking, "What if someone told us they saw you with a gun? What would you think about that?" Riley responded, "I would wonder who said that and where they saw me with a gun." The detectives told him, "Alex said you showed him a handgun. Where is it?" Riley insisted, "I don't know where it is." They continued, "Alex has no reason to lie about something like that." Riley maintained his innocence, replying, "But I'm telling you, I don't know where it's at." The detectives asked, "Am I a suspect in her death?" Riley hesitated and said, "Should you be? I just feel like I'm being bombarded with questions. I hope to God I'm not a suspect in her death." The detectives then asked, "Did you shoot into Emma's house?" At this point, Riley's behavior seemed increasingly suspicious, but he continued to deny any involvement with the gun. His friend Noah had come forward with more information that would further complicate Riley's story. Noah later revealed that Riley had asked him if he knew how to remove fingerprints from a gun. Noah, shocked by the question, responded with, "What the heck, no?" Riley then claimed that his roommate was the one who wanted to know, which raised Noah's suspicions. Noah immediately reported this strange conversation to the detectives. As soon as Riley finished his questioning, he texted Noah, demanding to know why he had snitched about the gun and the fingerprint inquiry. Noah, unfazed, replied, "If you didn't do anything, you've got nothing to hide and no reason to worry." Later, Riley confided in Alex, telling him that he had disposed of the gun and taken it back to his grandparents' house. Not long after, Riley's mother confronted him, asking about the rumored gun and where it was. Riley denied everything, insisting, "I don't have one. There is no gun." This left Alex and Noah increasingly convinced that Riley was lying, especially since he was telling different stories to different people. They began to suspect that Riley might be involved in something serious. Riley then asked his friends to stop speaking with the police, as he needed time to figure out what to do about the gun and how to get rid of it. He was worried about being blamed for something he claimed he didn't do. However, Noah and Alex were now convinced that Riley was the one who killed Emma. They decided to secretly collaborate with the police. The plan was to help Riley dispose of the gun while secretly gathering evidence for the authorities. They knew that the gun was the crucial piece of evidence that could tie everything together. If they could get Riley's fingerprints on the gun, it would be a clear-cut case. The next day, Noah and Alex went to Riley's house to hang out, pretending they just wanted to play video games and relax. Riley had no idea that his friends were actually wearing hidden microphones, and one of them had a camera disguised as a key fob, both provided by the police. As they hung out, the conversation eventually shifted to Emma, and Riley once again denied having anything to do with her death. He insisted he would never harm her and even asked Noah and Alex to retract their statements to the police, suggesting they should claim they were under the influence of drugs and confused when they talked to the detectives. Riley then suggested that the three of them retrieve the gun and dispose of it together. Noah and Alex played along, agreeing to help Riley get rid of the gun, pretending they believed in his innocence and wanted to protect him. The three of them got into the car, with their first stop being Riley's stepdad's house, where he retrieved the gun. They then grabbed some fast food, with the gun casually stashed in a trash bag inside the car. During this time, several undercover police cars were discreetly following them. Noah and Alex were also secretly updating the police via a group text chat, informing them of their movements and plans. Eventually, they arrived at a parking lot near the river, where they planned to dispose of the gun. Riley put on gloves and carefully took out the gun, ready to get rid of the evidence. At that moment, Noah and Alex texted the police, signaling that it was the right time to move in. Within moments, the police arrived at the parking lot, ordering everyone out of the car with their hands up. Noah and Alex immediately complied, knowing this was part of the plan, while Riley, caught off guard, also cooperated. The police promptly arrested Riley and took him into custody. Following his arrest, Riley was charged with first-degree murder and 6 other felonies. When the police searched the trash bag containing the gun, they also found black clothing that likely belonged to Riley, worn during the night of the murder. This discovery led investigators to believe that Riley was also the person who had been knocking on Emma's door that fateful night. It became clear that all the strange events leading up to Emma's death were orchestrated by Riley. He had even faked his own kidnapping in a desperate attempt to win back Emma, who no longer wanted anything to do with him. Riley was hopelessly in love with her, but when she didn't reciprocate his feelings, he finally snapped. At Riley's trial in May 2018, his defense team surprised everyone by admitting that Riley was the one who fired the gun, but they argued that it was not murder, it was reckless homicide. They claimed that Riley had hoped the gunshots would scare Emma into calling him, so he could rush to her side and rescue her. According to the defense, this was just another one of Riley's dramatic attempts to get her attention, similar to the fake kidnapping and the mysterious banging on her door. However, the prosecution argued that this defense was nonsense. They pointed out that the bullets were deliberately aimed to kill, not to scare. The shooter clearly knew where to aim to ensure Emma's death. With over 30 witnesses and a week-long trial, the jury finally reached a verdict. On May 8, 2018, Riley was convicted of first-degree murder and sentenced to over 50 years in prison before he would be eligible for parole. This tragic case serves as a stark reminder of how dangerous an abusive relationship can become. It's crucial for all of us to watch for warning signs in our loved ones' relationships, such as isolation from friends, excessive control by a partner, and drastic changes in behavior. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel for more shocking and compelling stories ahead.